Hello guys, today we'll watch this video by Jupiter Dev. Definitely go and check out her channel.
It is inevitable that after you've played enough video games, you get the thought of, hey, I want to make one of those, right?
It's not 100%. Some people that I've met that are gamers or like playtesters do just want to play video games. They do not really want to make them, just like you buying a burger and don't giving a shit about cooking one. But because most people in game dev thought the same, so when they talk to each other about how they started, they think that everyone that plays video games wants really to make video games. But many people who want to create video games end up actually creating one because the accessibility nowadays are way easier than before.
I want to do that, but the odds of you giving up along the way are insanely high. You will fail.
That's right, because it's one of the most complex majors ever. It's just as complex as medicine and as many other majors. And the problem that makes it more complicated is that most people try solo dev first, and solo dev is like one of the most hardest things ever because you need to be like a director, a coder, an artist, a musician, and wear like 1,000 hats, and like wear 1,000 hats. So yeah, solo dev is one of the most complicated things. Many people leave it and just go and work generally in game dev, maybe just an artist or something like that, which is an amazing thing. Even when you give up being a solo dev, you still can work in the industry.
Probably suck. You will get stuck a lot, and you will think to yourself, why am I doing this? But guess what? That does not matter. You are meant to try and fail and try and fail and try and fail until you've tried and failed enough to where now you can participate in a game jam. Now you have a small portfolio of games that you've created. Now you feel like those bigger ideas you have, that dream.
This is the problem. There's a big difference between commercial games and indie game jam games or just games. Because commercial games are meant to be accessible, and accessibility are way different than just making a game for yourself or a small community. So now you need to consider invert controls, color applied options, different sizes of screens, widescreen, etc. You need to consider multilingual support. Now your text cannot be just a normal text, but a text that are linked to a multilingual system. Also, maybe a localized text, for example. Maybe also you cannot use just a normal font you like. You need to use a font that is multilingual support friendly. So yeah, now you have at least 100 of tasks that are just for accessibility, which makes the development way harder even for a small scope games.
Dream game that maybe you've wanted to make this whole time is possible, but in order to do that, you have to try.
Because to be honest, running the game on your device is way easier than trying to make the game run on every device. It would be so different. And don't forget, you also will need to like look up your optimization if your game was like a 3D or a high 2D game with multiple like sprites and stuff like that.
And you have to fail. See, in order to make games, you have to make games. And that's scary. I know, that's terrifying, but simple games, small games. Maybe you're recreating Snake or Space Rocks or some other classic arcade.
Yeah, these are the starts. Then you need to go into making vertical slices or demos or systems, complicated systems. Then start doing your own solo commercial game. It will probably fail, but it's okay. It's just for gaining experience. And it's okay. Develop it to the end, just like you want to publish it. And after that, start working in commercial big indie games or AA titles, and then you can start really making a very awesome game, and now you are a very experienced individual.
A game that probably isn't your dream game, but that's the point. You don't have to worry about failure because you're not trying to make an amazing game right now. You're learning how to eventually make an amazing game. The goal is to progress the same that you would with any skill, not from 0 to 100, but taking small steps over time. If you're making your very first game and you're telling yourself that this will be your dream game and you have this big cool idea you want to execute, I'll tell you right now that your odds of success are very low. If you're jumping right into that complicated idea, you're basically telling yourself you want to learn piano and then the first song that you learn is Rush E. Now, is that possible? Sure, maybe you're like Toby Fox and one of the first games that you ever start is going to become Undertale. But by taking that risk...
Yeah, luck factor also plays a role. Your first indie game might be a very big hit, but also could only be played by 1,000 people, only 500 people. So it's okay. But you should learn. You should collect these systems and assets and use it in future bigger commercial projects. So don't get devastated by that.
You're missing out on a lot. The human brain thrives off of the feeling of making progress and the reward of feeling like you're learning and seeing yourself get better. Setting a really high ambition like making this dream game or learning this super hard song on piano, it does mean that you're passionate. But you don't know what it's like to make a game yet. You haven't fallen in love with the process. You aren't going to see yourself make progress for a longer time than you usually would.
Yeah, like you need something to understand. Making a game is not are the same as making just a system or gameplay code. Many people are gameplay code, gameplay code. You need art, you need narrative design, world building, character psychology. This is just small parts of the narrative design. You need commercial experience, how to write the narrative just like for a commercial game with the taglines and stuff like that. You need accessibility optimization, a good animation if your game are 2D or 3D. You need thousands and direction, you need thousands of stuff. It's not just gameplay core. Keep that in mind, please.
Started with small projects and worked your way up. Believe me, I know the feeling of having the idea for a game that is so fiery, it just feels like it consumes you, and that's all you can think about. That's all you want to do is just make it. You have this amazing storyline cooked up, well-designed characters you perfectly envision fitting into your world, gameplay mechanics that are genuinely unique and you know would be fun. I know what it's like to want nothing more than to just get started on that and make it. I've gone into a lot of projects with those ideas, but because I wasn't at Rush E level yet, they either ended up as small projects that just kind of taught me something, or they burnt me out from game development for months. For me, this
Because you need to get out from the mentality of when making something, you rely on just passion. You need to rely on discipline. You need to rely on social pressure that you tell everyone I will make the game. Now you need to do it because of like social pressure and stuff like that. You need to make another type of pressure more than like passion or something like, oh, I woke up from bed, I want to do it. What if you don't want to do it anymore? That would be bad. And this is a career in the end. You need to take it a bit, a step notch more seriously without killing the fun of it.
manifested a lot through pixel art. When I had the idea for my very first game, I decided that I wanted to start by creating this beautiful aesthetic that would be inspired by one of my favorite albums, the First Glass Beach album. It's phenomenal, fire, definitely listen to it. It is a wonderful album, and the cover art is made up of these colors. So my plan was to make a game with that same color palette. I made all kinds of little dudes, random pieces of furniture, tile sets, and then eventually I got an idea for a different game. So I found a different color.
See, that's a problem. You need to work on a GDD first. So you don't just scrape it. Oh, I want to use that thing. It looked cool. You need to do a full GDD. Think of every little detail in the story, in the gameplay, and then starting making assets. You cannot destroy the pipeline of pre-production, production, post-production. You cannot do things in production and pre-production. You will get burned out. You will not like it, and you probably will just delete the project. So you need to have a pipeline, a good pipeline for work, or it would not work. So yeah, you need a very solid, good GDD, so you know your plan in making this game.
Color palette and made a bunch of art for that game. This would happen again and again with different game ideas, different album arts, until eventually I just got really good at pixel art, but none of that had translated into making any games. I'm not mad about it. I'm really happy that I learned to do pixel art and focused on that, but part of why I spent so much time doing it is because it was a way for me to put off doing the actual coding. I could keep coming up with new ideas, new themes, new styles, and it was very fun. But it took me a long time to actually finish any games, even tiny ones. If I can do it with pixel art, then I know that I can at least do it with anything, and it's just a matter of what I put the time into. The things that I want to do, or the things that I should do to actually make a video game. Game development is
Maybe
hard.
hire a friend or make him help you making the game, or even try doing it like more focused on arts, like a walking simulator with some simple gameplay mechanics, but a very good art, and it's a narrative driven game. For example, Andrew and Lily, the Coffin game. It's a narrative game, and their coding is very simple for such a game. So you need to play on your strength point, just as I said before. Play on your strength point, so you do not need to do much in the weak points that you don't really know how to do. So you can never, never in your life cover your weak points. You need to admit them, acknowledge them, and strengthen your strong points, just to uh, make people focus on your strong points and neglect your weak points. Or even if they noticed it, they say, yeah, but you have a very strong, solid point in that. Because you will never be able just to hide it by trying more and more and more, and it will just waste your time. You cannot be good at everything. That's not possible. Just try to be good at one thing.
It's a million skills in one, and it's not just that, but it's a million skills you have to manage and keep organized, which is why I want to thank today's sponsor, ClickUp. With ClickUp, you can set up productivity boards and organize everything with calendar views all in one place. It helps you stay organized in all your projects with hundreds of tools made to help you work efficiently. You're able to track progress on each of your tasks, see your goals visually, work collaboratively, and if it's
That's
too
nice. I
overwhelming,
usually
there's
use
a
something
ton of
similar.
templates.
I use like a mix of Melanote and Todoist with multiple docs file for the most complicated info, and Excel files, and yeah, it helps a lot with the GDD.
Out there made to help you get started. My favorite part is that it syncs to nearly every existing
If you
software
have a
under the
team, you could
sun.
use like
So
a
your
dial or
calendar,
something
cloud
like that.
storage,
Yeah.
messaging apps. Porting over data is not the nightmare that it usually is, especially when it comes to coding. You can create branches and pull requests for GitHub directly in ClickUp. Everything can finally be in one place. I cannot emphasize enough just how many features ClickUp has to offer, which is what makes it a phenomenal tool for the challenging task that is game development. And if you do use my amazing, phenomenal, sexy link, ClickUp will give you a discount when you're ready to upgrade your plan. Let ClickUp be your second brain to help you stay organized and stress-free. Now, if you're like me and you enjoy that management side or the more creative side of making a video game, so the artwork, the design, the story, you will have to learn to hold yourself back. Making games is a creative process, don't get me wrong, but making the game, as in physically assembling it, building it, coding it, is the backbone of everything. When I get the idea for a game nowadays, I have to physically hold myself back from daydreaming the entire story, making all the art, defining a style, because as important as those things are, nothing is as important as implementation.
No, implementation is not the most important thing. The most important thing, in my opinion, are accessibility, gameplay core, and art direction. Maybe also narrative direction, but sometimes people put it in art direction too. Because even if you have the greatest implementation in all time, but a story that sucks, a world that sucks, a art that sucks, no one will play your game. So implementation is only important to be successful and high in quality only if the others are the best thing. The art is the best and the game core is the best. Being not an independent factor or variable makes implementation reliable on other things, which does not make it the most important thing in my opinion.
I have so many fleshed out game ideas that I never did anything with because I developed the idea so much without stopping to make any of it. And by the time that I was ready to actually start developing, I was burned out, I was bored, I didn't want to think about it anymore. And that's why I say
And
small.
that's why again, the pipeline. Don't do production and pre-production. You will be burned out. Of course, production is harder and it relies heavily on pre-production. You do not have a plan, so of course you need to first do the pre-production. You need to do the GDD, then the sketches if you are making a 2D game, then of the landscapes of the characters and different stuff, then start production. You cannot skip 3-4 months of development just like that and say, well, I got burned out. Of course you do not have a plan. You're just like trying to solve a math equation without the learning the شيل المثال هذا الزاوية. It's just like trying to build a house from the middle. You will not be able to do that. Of course, you will be burnt out. You do not know what's the initial plan was.
Small projects are so important. Come up with a cool game idea, but once you have the basis for what mechanics are driving your gameplay and why it'd be fun, go make that, okay? Go code that. Maybe follow a few tutorials to give yourself a point of reference. And then when you're done with that, then you can worry about the art and how much more you want to add, how deep the rest of the game.
And then these are the basic, the first image, the first video, we call it a vertical slice. Go see the vertical slice of Little Big Planets, for example. It does not look like the final game. Of course, it's a vertical slice. It's not a full game. So, of course, these are the basics. You cannot, again, do not skip steps just because, oh, I want to draw something. Go draw something else, just like as a training. You need now to focus on pre-production, a production of a vertical slice, then maybe seeking out publishers. If you want to make it yourself, don't seek out publishers. Go and make it. You cannot just skip steps in the pipeline and then say, why I got burnt out. Of course will happen. What were you thinking? So yeah, you need a vertical slice, you need a pre-production, GDD, sketches, even some simple music if you can. You need a pre-production in general.
Game should go. Learning to control the scope of your game is usually something that you learn by doing, by setting a bar too high, by trying to learn Rush E too soon. There's a quote out there from a wise man on Reddit. Someone who's so wise I don't remember where I saw this quote or who exactly said it, but it goes along the lines of, make a game that you think will take you a week to make, and it'll end up taking you a month. Then make a game you think will take you a month, and it'll end up taking you a year. In other words, go for something simple, because even something simple is going to end up being a challenge. Your game ideas will probably flesh themselves out more as you make them. So if you can start with like a sentence or two long description describing what base mechanic is driving the gameplay of your game, I think that's all you need. I think
Again, usually the scope creep happens just because people neglect pre-production. There's nothing like, oh, multiply it by 3. I've never had to do that, and neither AAA companies need to do that. Really, triple your time by 3. You can put a 10% to 15% risk, but if you have a solid pre-production and you have a solid plan and you notice all the things that you need to do, the multiplication happens because people forget how much art and music and the systems they need to do. But when you have a full GDD with full scope, you know everything you need to do, you will not put the timing wrong. That could be by 10-15%, but it could not be by 300% of time. So this is just bad planning, in my opinion.
all the best games out there can be simplified to a short description where it's clear why it's fun, even without all the details about the story or every mechanic. Undertale is an RPG game where you don't have to kill anything and your choices matter. Hades is a roguelike about Greek mythology where you battle throughout the underworld, find new weapons, and encounter various gods. Hollow Knight is a Metroidvania where you unlock abilities as you explore to keep opening up more and more of the world. So what is your game? What's your sales pitch, that 2-sentence description? Narrow that down, figure out what base mechanic is gonna make your game fun to play, and then see where it goes. You know,
So I agree with some points with her in her video, but I disagree with a lot of points, especially that you should not just make 2 sentences, you should make a full pre-production, in my opinion. to fully start your game. And if you saw the game is not good in your pre-production and vertical slice, just neglect it. It's okay. It would be less time than making a game than neglecting it.
This game not knowing if it's gonna do good. Do it not knowing if it's gonna become a big game or just another side project. Do it because if you are gonna make a dream game one day, this big hit game of yours, you have to enjoy the process of making games no matter what the outcome is. Regardless of whether you're the only
I
person.
agree with that. You should not enjoy making your dream game because that would be weird. You should be enjoy making video games, loving the niche, not a project, because you will get so obsessed with the project, you will neglect, you will burn out quickly if you just want to do one project. So you need to have the mentality of I like the niche. I like making video games. It's a better mentality. I agree strongly with this point. It's an amazing point.
Who ends up playing it, regardless of whether it ends up on Steam or not. If I had to define what it truly means to be passionate about something, it's that. You do it even if only a few people cared. Maybe if nobody but you cared. For me, that's what making videos.
By the way, to her, if you have a lot of pixel art assets that you made before, just polish them, customize them, and release them once it's store. It could be a very good cash up and a very good support for the community too. So yeah, don't neglect all the assets, by the way. Redesign them and publish them.
Is. People seeing it and caring and interacting with something that I worked really hard on is a massive plus, don't get me wrong, it's very motivating. But I know that if I want to be big one day, I have to do it for me. I can't do it because I want the results of having a successful channel. Because you want the results of having a popular game, of having
You'll be shocked the results are not as good as you think, so don't do it just because you want the cash or just you want the fame. Do it, these games came with the way that you are going to do something fun, do something good for the community, and they came with the way sometimes. And it's okay. Not the money and fame are not the most important things in life, and yeah, they do not even last that much.
Finished product. You have to value and enjoy the process, not just the results. And that's one of the biggest things that holds people back. Nearly everyone has ideals in their lives for these things they want to do, a thing they want to have, a skill they wish they could be good at. But can you enjoy the process of getting good at that thing, of not being immediately good at it, of not having the results you want from the very beginning? That is a skill in and of itself, and it's the skill of learning. The skill of getting over that hump of sucking at something for a really long time, trusting that eventually you'll be where you want to be. And you will, guaranteed. If you keep trying, you keep working, you keep failing, you will get better. That's not a hopeful statement. That's not me trying to motivate you. That is a fact. That is how skills work. And game development is not any different. It's how I learned pixel art. Maybe it's how you learned an instrument or picked up a new job. I could make a whole video on that alone. So please, get out there, claw your way out of tutorial hell if you have to, subscribe to my channel, join the Discord in the description if you want to, and go make a video game.
So yeah, I totally agree with don't stop making it, make video games, but again, passion and the power of will is an amazing thing, an amazing power to have that many people don't have, by the way, but it's something that you need to direct, and it's okay to direct it with the normal known pipelines as pre-production, production, and post-production video games industry. So you need to direct them properly so they don't get back to you and burn you out. And yeah, an amazing video by Jupiter Dev. Go definitely and check out her channel. The link is in the description as always. And thank you for watching. See you in the next video.